Have you been disappointed with God? Today we're going to tackle that difficult question.
Welcome back to our Change How You Think weekly video podcast.
If you'd like to hear from us every week, then subscribe to our videos on YouTube or by clicking on the weekly video tab at the top of this webpage. Fill in the subscription form and you'll get our free self-assessment ebook, Healthy Moods.
Has God let you down?
Have you had unanswered prayers or seen your hopes and dreams evaporate when circumstances turned out badly?
We all have times when we look at events in our lives that we don't want and can't explain. You've probably asked yourself, what is God thinking to allow that?
This issue came up in a very profound way last week in my men's group. We were discussing Psalm 121 when we came to verse 7 that said, "The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore." One of the members said quietly, "I agree with the verse, but it didn't work for me." The group fell silent as we appreciated the weight of his words. You see, his very godly wife had died in a car accident last year. We then had a very frank discussion on how to resolve the disconnect that we sometimes see between God's promises and what we experience.
The issue is, how should you respond when what you know is true about God is not what you experience?
This is a very important question because your faith can be shipwrecked on these rocks if you don't respond wisely.
We always try to make sense of events around us. We want to be able to understand and explain the cause and effect so we can learn from the experience.
But really, the reason why we want to understand events is so we can control them. It's our nature to want to control as much as we can.
And that's where we run into conflict with God's ways. We want to be able to understand what God does so we can predict and control His actions to suit our purposes.
When God acts in ways we can't understand, it threatens our faith because we've lost control and He's become unpredictable.
Let's just face the issue head on. We have no idea why God doesn't answer some prayers and why tragic things happen.
You have to realize that you are just a child and God is the parent. Kids are often confused by what the parent is doing because they don't understand adult things.
In these situations, you have to hang on to verses like Romans 8 and 39, which says, "Neither height nor depth nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God." God still loves you in all circumstances.
And in Romans 8 and 28, it says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." God hasn't abandoned you. He's still actively involved in your life.
Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." When you feel broken, disappointed, and disillusioned, He understands and He is close to you.
So it all boils down to a trust issue. Is your relationship with God close enough to trust Him with the events of your life, even when you can't understand why difficult things are happening? Are you willing to give Him control of your life?
It's in times like these you learn what it means to offer a sacrifice of praise. It's a sacrifice to praise when you don't feel like it and when you're actually angry at God.
This is a very important act of faith and trust, since it's the only kind of praise that we won't be able to do in heaven. In God's presence, worship will be spontaneous and all our questions will become unnecessary.
So when you are confused or disappointed with God, come to Him in childlike trusting faith and offer Him a sacrifice of your praise. There are many things we will never understand, and we just have to live with that until we get to heaven.
The key to a life of faith and trust is to change how you think. Then you can have the mind of Christ.
The Free Your Mind online self-study program will help you make those changes by walking you through the healing pathway mentally, spiritually, and emotionally.
Through weekly 15-minute videos, monthly live Q&As, an online community forum, and a 24-hour access to our entire video library, you can work at your own speed, anytime, from anywhere in the world, to begin the life-changing transformation you've been looking for. You can learn more about it using the links below this video.
We'll talk to you next week, but this week, practice worshiping even when it's difficult.